It was a typical morning at Riverside Memorial Hospital. Nurses bustled about, doctors made their rounds, and patients chatted with their visitors. The sterile smell of disinfectant mixed with the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air. Nurse Clara Bennett, a dedicated and compassionate young woman, had just started her shift in the pediatric ward. Little did she know, this would be a day like no other. Clara had always been passionate about her job. She loved working with children and found immense satisfaction in comforting them and their families during challenging times. That morning, she was attending to a young boy named Timmy, who was recovering from a minor surgery. His parents were anxiously waiting for updates, and Clara was there to provide reassurance. Suddenly, a commotion erupted in the main lobby of the hospital. Shouts and gasps filled the air, and Clara's curiosity was piqued. Leaving Timmy's room, she hurried down the hall to see what was happening. As she approached the lobby, her heart nearly stopped at the sight before her. Standing in the middle of the lobby, causing a mix of fear and awe, was a full-grown Bengal tiger. Its majestic stripes and powerful build were a stark contrast to the sterile hospital environment. The tiger seemed oddly calm, almost as if it had a purpose for being there. Hospital staff and patients alike were frozen in place, unsure of how to react to this unexpected visitor. Clara's first instinct was to protect the patients, especially the children. She quickly moved to usher people back into their rooms and away from the lobby. As she did, she noticed something peculiar about the tiger's behavior. It wasn't acting aggressively. Instead, it seemed to be looking for something or someone. The hospital security team was alerted, and within minutes, they arrived with tranquilizer guns. But Clara, with her keen sense of empathy, felt that there was more to this situation than met the eye. She approached the tiger cautiously, making soothing noises to calm it. "Easy, big guy," Clara murmured. "We're not here to hurt you." To everyone's astonishment, the tiger responded to Clara's voice, turning its gaze towards her. In its eyes, Clara saw a deep sadness, almost a plea for help. It was then that she noticed something she hadn't seen before. The tiger had a small, worn collar around its neck, with a tag that read, "Sultan." Clara's mind raced. How could a tiger named Sultan end up in a hospital? And why did it seem so intent on being there? She decided to try a different approach. She contacted the local zoo and wildlife rescue center, hoping they could shed some light on Sultan's mysterious appearance. Within the hour, a team from the Riverside Wildlife Rescue arrived at the hospital. Among them was Dr. Emily Harris, a renowned veterinarian and animal behaviorist. Dr. Harris had worked with many big cats in her career, but she had never encountered a situation quite like this. "Sultan is one of our rescues," Dr. Harris explained. "He was part of a circus act that was shut down due to inhumane treatment of the animals. We've been rehabilitating him at our sanctuary." Clara felt a pang of sorrow for Sultan. She had always been an advocate for animal rights and had often volunteered at the local animal shelter. Knowing that Sultan had endured such hardship only deepened her resolve to help him. "But why is he here?" Clara asked. Dr. Harris looked puzzled. "That's what we're trying to figure out. He must have a reason for coming here, something that's driving him." As the team prepared to tranquilize Sultan to safely transport him back to the sanctuary, Clara noticed something that brought tears to her eyes. Sultan had a gentle grip on something with his mouth. It was a small, worn-out stuffed tiger, clearly a child's toy. Clara's heart sank. Could it be that Sultan had formed a bond with a child from the hospital? The thought seemed almost too incredible to be true, but she had to find out. Clara and Dr. Harris decided to investigate further. They combed through hospital records and spoke with the staff, trying to find any connection between Sultan and a patient. It was a long shot, but they had to try. After hours of searching, Clara found a lead. A young girl named Lily had been a patient at the hospital a few months ago. She had been battling a rare form of cancer and had spent a significant amount of time in the pediatric ward. Her parents mentioned that she had a deep love for tigers and had often talked about Sultan, whom she had seen at the zoo during one of her rare outings. Lily had been a bright and spirited child, despite her illness. Clara remembered her well. She had often brought Lily books about tigers and other wild animals, hoping to lift her spirits during her treatments. Could it be that Lily had formed a special bond with Sultan during her visits to the zoo? Clara's heart ached as she recalled that Lily had lost her battle with cancer just a few weeks ago. The memory of her laughter and love for tigers was still fresh in Clara's mind. It was then that the pieces of the puzzle started to come together. Dr. Harris and Clara decided to visit Lily's parents to see if they could shed any light on Sultan's appearance at the hospital. When they arrived, they were greeted warmly by Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, who were touched by the visit and eager to help. "We remember Sultan very well," Mrs. Thompson said, tears welling up in her eyes. Lily adored him. She talked about him all the time and even had a picture of him by her bedside. Mr. Thompson added, Lily believed that Sultan was her guardian, her protector. She said that if anything ever happened to her, Sultan would come looking for her to make sure she was safe. Clara and Dr. Harris exchanged glances, both deeply moved by the story. It was becoming clear that Sultan had somehow sensed Lily's passing and had come to the hospital in search of her. The bond between the two was undeniable, transcending the boundaries of species and even life itself. Back at the hospital, the atmosphere was tense. Sultan had been sedated but was being kept in a secure area until he could be transported back to the sanctuary. Clara knew they had to do something to honor the bond between Sultan and Lily. With the Thompsons' permission, Clara and Dr. Harris arranged for a small ceremony in the hospital garden. They brought out Lily's favorite stuffed tiger and placed it in front of Sultan. As the sedation wore off, Sultan slowly woke up, his eyes focusing on the familiar toy. The moment was both heart-wrenching and beautiful. Sultan gently nudged the stuffed tiger with his nose, a soft, almost mournful sound escaping his throat. Clara couldn't hold back her tears. She knelt beside Sultan, her own emotions overwhelming her. "Lily loved you, Sultan," Clara whispered, her voice breaking. "And she knew you loved her too. Thank you for being her guardian." The hospital staff, patients, and even visitors who had gathered around watched in silent reverence. The bond between Sultan and Lily had touched everyone present, reminding them of the deep connections that could form between humans and animals. In the days that followed, the story of Sultan and Lily spread throughout Riverside and beyond. The local news covered the heartwarming tale, and it quickly went viral on social media. People from all over the world were moved by the story of the tiger who had come to a hospital to honor his bond with a little girl. Clara continued her work at the hospital, but she carried the memory of that day with her always. She and the Thompsons, along with Dr. Harris, started a foundation in Lily's name to support animal sanctuaries and pediatric cancer research. They wanted to ensure that Lily's love for tigers and her bravery in the face of illness would inspire and help others. As for Sultan, he was returned to the sanctuary where he continued to receive the care and love he deserved. Dr. Harris and her team made sure that Sultan was never alone, surrounding him with other rescued tigers and ensuring he lived out his days in peace. The hospital garden, where the ceremony had taken place, was renamed Lily's Garden in honor of the little girl who had touched so many lives. It became a place of reflection and hope, where people could come to remember the incredible bond between a girl and her tiger. The story of Sultan and Lily became a beloved tale, one that parents would tell their children and teachers would share with their students. It was a story of love, courage, and the unbreakable bond between a little girl and a majestic tiger. Clara often visited Lily's garden, finding solace and inspiration there. She knew that the story was more than just an incredible event. It was a reminder of the power of love and the connections that could form between all living beings. In a world where miracles were often hard to come by, the story of Sultan and Lily stood as a testament to the extraordinary things that could happen when love and kindness were at the heart of our actions. And as long as people remembered their story, the bond between a little girl and her tiger would continue to inspire and bring hope to countless others. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.